a certain member of the board would take an area that the superintendent was responsible for, and they would work with the superintendent and present that at that board meeting. And so the superintendent had an ongoing evaluation throughout the year of how well they were doing in their particular roles that had been assigned to them. So it had some real merit, and they shared all that with us, and I'll share it with you guys and see if it's anything that we would be interested. But he said, I feel strongly enough about it. If the board came to me and said, we're not going to use this format anymore, he would have to say, then I'm not going to be your superintendent anymore, because he said it works that well and it keeps us so much on track, and he really did appreciate that. So that's it in a nutshell.
Superintendent's report.
So board, I have several items for you tonight under superintendent report. The first thing I want to do is draw to your attention a question. When I was hired as superintendent, why was I the fourth superintendent in 4 years? Not for answering. I just want you to think about it. In my interview, and Warren and Mike, you'll remember this piece, as I'm sure you'll remember, I asked at the end of your term serving on the Brush Board of Education, what do you want to be known for? What would be your lasting award? And I remember those conversations with you all in my interview, and your focus on kids and really making it better in our district. My decision to accept the position was based upon your drive at the time of saying I want to make it better for kids. We started this adventure together in 2011 by revising our mission, our vision, and the board started focusing on goals. We've strengthened our work through collaboration and professional learning communities with a focus on increasing research-based instructional practices. We've ramped up our financial transparency and began using zero-based budgeting to align resources to your goals. We've saved taxpayers $1.4 million through the BEST grant, distance learning, juvenile assistance grant, and bond debt refinance. We've overhauled policies and revised human resources and budget practices. Achievement continues to increase across all levels, and we have increased graduation rates for all students. Building safety has increased with keyless entry and cameras, and the Beat Digger Stadium is now handicap accessible. And we have much, much more to celebrate. But I'm going to pause there, and I want to take you back. I want to read from the Katie report for a moment. And it says, the leadership of the district is compromised through the occasional successful efforts of some non-administrative staff or community members who opt to co-op administrative functions. This is accomplished by bringing circular pressure to bear. Various stakeholders describe a typical pattern as staff to parents and or community members, parents to community members to district leadership, and district leadership to administrators. The stakeholders of the district pay a price when this process succeeds. The effective functioning of the district and its leadership may be undermined, and the accountability of all staff members to perform at acceptable levels may longer be assured. The topics of such pressures vary among various issues which carry with them serious consequences for students and staff. They range from personal issues to individuals seeking to avoid accountability to implement district initiatives, thus lowering the morale of those staff who step up to deliver the practices for which all should be accountable. The success of these dysfunctional efforts in influencing district leadership is widely understood as toxic to the climate of the district by various stakeholders. Also questioned by district stakeholders is the continuation of conflict concerning district governance, which detracts from the purpose of the district to focus on staff efforts and energy at high levels of achievement for each student. I'm not sure if you guys would agree, but it sure sounds familiar with what's going on today. And that was written in 2010 by a group of independent outsiders coming in to do an evaluation of the district. I want to hand you guys down a copy so you can have a copy of what I just read. But I also want to bring to your attention several items that I think are worth mentioning. We've had accusations that that I falsely placed Tracy on a salary schedule for her. And I want to just direct you guys back to, let me hand you copies of this, and some of it's confidential because it gives other people. But I want to also bring you to the fact that Tracy was started, She was placed on a salary schedule exactly the same as the two people ahead of her. And in fact, one of those people started in the exact same step as what Tracy did. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is if you look at our salary schedules, then in your 2 years prior to Tracy and I even coming, the administrative assistant was included on that, maintenance and mechanic. And then right before Tracy and I started, somehow it was removed, however the comma remained. Something that neither of us would have caught, but we sure have been held accused of putting people on the wrong salary schedule. So I want to bring that to your attention and provide you with documentation that, again, we're on a hunt for something that didn't exist. And then I also want to bring to you, on July 14th, 2014, I'd like to give you a copy of the MOU that was established between us and Head Start. Part of this MOU that you'll see, and I'll wait till you get it, so we can call out the various positions that are funded by Head Start. The first one, budget and finance. This is Denise Trujillo's position. It's completely funded. The district's reimbursed 100% for her position. Tracy Amon, the HR stipend, which is also attached to her for the work that goes above and beyond. If you look at program director, the director of preschool, the district pays for part of that position, and the technology position was expanded under Randy Dalton so that we could actually get that third tech in place. So I wanted to just bring you the documents and say, okay, so Tracy is in the right spot, Tracy is where she's supposed to be, and no one has done something wrong. I'm going to take you to the next document, which is also confidential and marked so because it has to do with our meet and confer process. I'm going to hand you this document, and you guys haven't seen this one yet, some of you, but this is an email where I was accused of lying about an idea that came from principals. And I just want to take this and pass this on down. But I also want to point out to you at the time that this was sent to me, this was hung on my fence at my home, and my husband has nothing to do with this. I also then want to make my next point in that the board did the only thing they can do, and we're going to talk censure for a moment. The board did the only thing they could do when a breach of confidentiality and hostile work environment occurs. Remember, you all signed the confidentiality agreement. We had 2 conversations with an attorney to reiterate the importance. Additionally, the hostile work environment that continues is concerning. When a situation arises like this, if the board does nothing, you're essentially placing the district at risk for lawsuits. If you as a board do the only thing possible, which is censure, a lawsuit then arises, the board member is no longer entitled to a defense paid at district expense unless the board would authorize such expenditure. In essence, you're protecting the district resources from a lawsuit. As you recall from the advice from our attorney when it came to another personnel issue where there were comments made, not in executive session, our attorney, legal counsel to the board, said it would be advised for board members to seek their own independent legal counsel. You are in a challenging situation as a Board of Education to not only guide the district but also protect the assets for our kids. I know you didn't take the decision to censure lightly. You also did the only thing possible for protection. Discussing employees has to be done in executive session. Discussing elected officials cannot be done in executive session legally. So I'm going to keep on going here while I'm on that. Let's talk about Robert's Rule of Order. So I'm going to hand this next copy down to you. Because Robert's rules, as well as executive sessions taken from our own board policy, and I want to call your attention, and I'll wait for a minute while you get your copy, to look at Robert's rules. You should have a whole copy. Under BEDD, which was reviewed January 7th, 2014, would you look at the second line? it shall be the responsibility of the board president to utilize such rules when appropriate to do so. I want to bring that up. That's our board policy. In executive sessions, I'd like you to turn to paragraph 6. Discussing, and right, the second line right under it, under teacher employment, discussions concerning a member of the board, any elected official, or the appointment of a board member are not considered personnel matters and are therefore not allowed, and you have the state statutes also attached to here for your future reading in executive session. Due process per our legal counsel is also not afforded to someone who's an elected official. We checked that. In a recent letter to the editor, I was accused of breaching confidentiality. And the email that was referred to on the breach, I applaud 6 of you. Because 6 of you understood that I was doing my due diligence to make sure you all understood that a local church was sending out a prayer request. And I just wanted you to have the heads up, as I always do on everything that I can get to you quickly, because I know that that's an expectation from day one. So that's where no confidentiality was breached. It was another false accusation. And then I want to go into the core request. So a copy of Public Right to Know. And what I'd like to do is point out to you as Board of Education that the core request for Mrs. Mesh took 15 hours to do. According to board policy, 14 of those are chargeable at 30 hours. We have not charged her, but it's because we did the work. And I would also point out to you as Board of Education, we set up the files and no one's come in to review those, per our legal counsel advice. I also want to then go ahead and share with you, because it was requested today, the core request and the battling that went on between a board member and our own legal counsel to the tune of $2,284. That's the February bill. I don't have the March bill yet. I'm reiterating to you now that you received notification on March 16th when you were made aware that your only employee in the district is feeling, I've been accused falsely, I've been targeted, and I've been watching the hostile work environment take place. I'm reiterating that again because I'm asking for it to not be stop. I would also like to ask you to think about, in closing, what is your lasting legacy that you want to leave at the end of your term? One of personal agendas or one of support for the greater good of all of our outstanding students? I'm going to pass down policy EBA, which says, at the bottom of it, all the powers of the board lie in its action as a group. Individual board members exercise authority only as they vote at a legal meeting of the board and when the board has fully delegated authority to them. And I want to pass this down to you for consideration as well. And then the last board policy that I would like to leave with you is the first line, BCA E-1. As a member of the local Board of Education, this is your code of ethics. I will strive to improve public education, and to that end I will recognize that the authority rests with the board in legal session, not in individual members of the Board of Education. I have to tell you, as your only employee, I'm really disappointed to actually get the resignation of Tracy Amy, because she's absolutely worked tirelessly to move it forward, and she's one I've watched be targeted. Enough is enough, and I'm asking for you as a board to draw together, pull together, and get it stopped. That's
It goes for community members too. It goes for the community. We keep running off good people, and it's like a favorite pastime for people in our town just to hammer it. And we've all been a part of that. But it's got to stop. And it's not going to stop unless everybody in the town, and even people that don't live in our town, it can't be the joy to come to the Board of Education meeting or to a work session or to some other thing and just try to ring it. It's bad. You know, I know a lot of people don't have kids here. I still have 3 little kids coming through the school. I got 9 years with my oldest one, 13 with my littlest one, or 12, maybe 13. But, you know, I hope to God that this can stop, because it's not making our schools any better. And you guys, this board used to focus on those goals just a couple of years ago, and I know every time we have a financial crisis, people in the town and people on the board start fighting, and they end up running people off, and it's not good.
Seven point oh, 7.1 through 7.9, the consensus agenda. Do we have a motion to accept the consensus agenda? So moved. A motion, do we have a second? Mr. Mortensen has the second, Mr. Chapman has the motion. Any more discussion? As Mike stated earlier, one of the items, 7.9, was added. And this is a letter of resignation from Tracy Amon. Purposes of this letter is to submit my resignation effective April 17th, 2015. I've thoroughly enjoyed my many opportunities that I've been afforded to me in this position. I greatly appreciate the support of Dr. Johnstone, the school district office staff, administrators, employees, and the Board of Education. Any discussion on any of the items on this? There was one thing, 7.3, and that it's been something I've been thinking about, and I think it's probably something that
I think we probably need to bring it back to President Johnson for the next meeting. No, but discussion, we can look at and
We need to have that. We want to have that discussion. We need to get to on this study session on the whole process. So we want to back up and have the board do that piece of it. So that's the next thing. We know that. We know second.
we're on discussion. Any discussion? Okay, now.
7.4, shaders. Is that at 110 or a 140?
140.
That's for some schools? Some schools.
The 110 and the 140, what that allows for is more time to work and how we report it to Para.
So that we can get her involved in professional development too, because we're gonna have part of our PD plan will be to bring Lynn Kuzmich in a couple of days ahead of time, and so that she can work on common assessments. And by going to the 140, it affords the time to actually be able to work on some of those pieces with us.
Wait, sorry, else, that's the first 140 that's in.
And we have the option of 110 and 140 and 112.
Tracy.
Mrs. Cox.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Item 8.1, Unified Improvement Plan.
I don't know if we want to do reverse order, Dave, because we put you on the hot spot. Are you ready to go?
All right.
Okay.
So on the back page, the back 2 pages, you guys can see that we, as a team, we selected writing as a goal. Of course, writing's part of adopting curriculum. Remember, curriculum, instruction, and assessment are those are the most important things. So we've already focused on instruction for several years. There's a couple more pieces we need to stick with. One we started last year was writing, and then the other one this year we'll talk about is assessments. When you look to the data in the middle, I kind of took some of it out to make it a little more easily understood. Because with NWA, It's hard to go from kindergarten and first grade that's above the mean and below the mean and translate